We want AI to make people smarter, ultimately where we should focus on.
I think that today a company that is not using any AI is a company that I don't see its success.
How does it make your team smarter? How does it make you smarter?
With today's tools, I could have created campaign in multiple languages. Today, I think that the role of agencies has to change. The smart CEOs will be already demanding and changing the KPI.
Hello there. Today we're talking about artificial intelligence in marketing. We'll be talking about how it affects her budgeting, her department, her staff. What are the skill sets of her staff? And what are the toolkits that she would be using now and looking into? What advice does she give to her fellow marketers? Hi, Adi.
Hey, Goor, how are you? It's
Good.
a pleasure being here.
Thanks. Just tell the viewers a bit about yourself.
So I've been marketeer for many, many years and different types of companies. I've been working with corporates like HP. And then in the past few years, I've been working at startup like Twine Solutions, coming from the world of B2B marketing. So the experience is coming from B2B, multidiscipline, machinery, new technology to an old industry. HP's gone through a huge transformation with digital print. And the idea with Twine Solution was to bring a similar revolution. And I think we both know that the textile industry is going through an amazing revolution and going through digital and transformation that is also leading into sustainable processes and sustainable fashion. And all of these new trends are coming into the textile industry with the new technology that is much required. And with it comes the AI.
For the viewers, myself and Adi worked for 6 years together. We didn't actively use AI. There was AI in the background and software and things that we were doing. But since I left, and yourself as well, artificial intelligence has taken off as tools are coming in. Where do you see already that it's affecting the most in terms of where you were 2 years ago with your department and where you would take it now?
So first of all, we had the amazing opportunity to experience the start of AI. So if you remember, Twine was exhibiting last year, exactly a year ago, at ITMA Milano. So we were coming last year with a lot of expectations, and we wanted to create a lot of content, a lot of relevant content, because we were launching also a new technology, a new machine. And we created a show that we performed twice a day. And we were working with the help of ChatGPT a year ago. And the gap is huge because we had lots of challenges back then, even working and creating content with ChatGPT. We had to create a lot of versions, a lot of explaining to ChatGPT who we are, how we behave, how we talk. He couldn't remember things, previous conversations, all these things that are already kind of really obvious to us when we're engaging today with AI. Engaging with all of these things is also related to the way the team was built. The team was built with a person that was in charge of a lot of the physical items. So as a company that is addressing the textile industry, we had a lot of physical samples, and we had a person managing the administration and logistics. We had a person that is in charge of digital marketing. And then we had the industry expert that she was working with marketing and sales, combining that and making sure that the attention and the tools that we are creating for the customers, and especially for the strategic customers, are the right ones and the right messaging. Today, I would expect my team to know all the tools that can help them be more efficient, that help them do more in the same time, in the same resources. We weren't from the startups that could just spend with no limits. And we had to be very strict with our budget, especially with the marketing budget. Being able to do more with the same budget would be amazing. I think it would help us take it to a different direction. And for example, if we're looking specifically, let's say at a big trade show like ITMA that we were exhibiting, we were aiming on creating campaigns in order to draw people to the booth, to expose more people. We were launching a new product and we wanted to reach more audience, whether it's our database and to just get them acknowledge the fact that we have a machine that is bigger and faster, and also new prospects. These campaigns were really challenging because, as you know, we were a global company, meaning we had to talk in multiple languages. And in that case, when with the tools that we had back then, we had to work with our distributors. So we created the content in English, and then our distributors translated it and then distributed the campaign. The moment the distributor got the campaign, we lost all control over the campaign and the success of the campaign because we couldn't know how many people opened it, how many people engaged, what was the reaction of people. We couldn't fine tune the campaign. And with today tools, just imagine I could have created campaign in multiple languages with the tools today, and I could have kept it in my system, track it, amend it, and then I believe that the campaign would be much more successful because we could have the full control over the campaign, the messaging, and the communication.
So
Today, we could have even created avatars talking and engaging in the local language with the potential prospects. So it's not just the money we save, but it's also the money we didn't gain.
it's efficiency gains, it's learning how to do more with less, essentially. It's interesting to think about when we look at AI. It isn't just about those cost reductions and efficiency, which reduces obviously cost, but also just having more control, you say, more creative control, more creative ability. So it's enhancing what you're doing is the potential you're saying.
It's not just enhancing what we're doing. I think that with AI, we could have gotten a much more possibility for growth. I think that our growth could have been much bigger and much faster, which would, to my opinion, would help Twine. We didn't meet our KPIs for each month.
Okay.
Obviously, the show was success from the point of view of having lots of people in the booth. Eventually, for marketing point of view, you have KPIs. You need to be able to have your funnel being increased. You need to be able to close deals. And we didn't meet our KPIs. And I believe that a lot of that was due to the fact that our campaigns pre-show weren't fine-tuned as we wanted them to be. HubSpot have incorporated AI within their CRM tool. Today, you can do more with the same tools, but as you said, they are more enhanced. The fact that the tools are enhanced for small companies, startups, that means that you kind of increase your team. You're doing with the same budget, and it's like you have more people in your team, and you can do much more, and you can plan for your growth to grow. You can explore new market that maybe before you couldn't have the capacity maybe to explore them or to support them. So the possibilities, I think, are endless. You need to be careful with that because we know what happened when you're trying to reach out too fast and too wide.
Yeah.
By the way, when you're looking also on corporates, there is a lot of companies that are downsizing. A lot of companies are looking at how they can do more with the same teams, with the same budgets, or even cutting down. And this is where AI is coming. Whether it's corporate, whether it's small company or a startup, all of them are looking for the same. And I think that's AI, using AI in the right way, that's the solution for marketing.
Okay, so if we consider the biggest pain points for you as marketing director in your department, what are your biggest pain points that you say, God, that always drives me nuts that I have to deal with that? And what tools have you already looked at that you can see would reduce that pain for the department, but for you as well in your position?
I think that the biggest challenge was managing the funnel. Marketing always wants to increase lead generation. You want to have the right lead generation. You want to have more lead generation. And you want to be able also to handle the funnel in the right way. So first of all, you want to make sure the right leads are entering. And you want to make sure all your channels are working, and you want to analyze them and optimize them. The more channels you have, the more you need to learn different systems. Like you need to learn the algorithm of Facebook, of Google Analytics. You need to learn all these tools. Now there is Google Analytics 4, so you need to go and learn that. And I'm not saying you don't anymore, but I'm just saying that with AI, you can analyze and you can get insights much better, centralized way. So you can create automations today, and you can use tools, different GPTs that are already incorporated within chat GPTs. By the way, HubSpot has GPTs within chat GPT. And you can use these if you're using HubSpot, and you can use AI within HubSpot to optimize your processes and your analytics. So you can make sure that your channels are always healthy, but also not just healthy. Okay, now I want to reach a new market. What's my strategy? How do I want to approach it? Which channel will be the best? And you can test it. And I'm just saying that you can do it faster, meaning that you are less spending resources on understanding if it's working or not working. In the past, every time I wanted to create content, I had my wonderful digital marketing manager. She was working with an external agency, which was wonderful. We really loved working with our agency. But today, I think that the role of agencies has to change, because if in the past I had to work with them and ask them to create images for me or support us with creating content. So we were working with them on creating blog posts. We were working with them on press releases. We were working with them on content for our website when we wanted to create a new section or a new product. And today that need is really eliminating. Monthly, it was big chunk of my budget that I was spending on the agency. And from my perspective back then, it was money well spent, because we saw the ability to get the ROI from that spend. But today with AI, I wouldn't spend that money that way. I would use that money in different ways. And the agency needs to be able now to give a more expertise, meaning that, yeah, it's really nice for me as a marketing director, or even for my digital marketing manager, to be able to create images, maybe a little bit learning Midjourney or Stable Diffusion or DALL-E. All these tools are great. But in order to get the right prompt, or in order to get the right product in quality, you don't want to reduce the demand you have for your quality. So the images needs to look good. It needs to still to look fine. You're not compromising on the quality of the content that you are now creating because it's AI. The level of expertise, especially to my opinion, from text to image, are still a higher level of expertise that you might need to get really good images, or the right images that you're trying to create. Sometimes you want to create an image, but the color here is not the right color, or suddenly there's an item you want to reduce. Sometimes the AI cannot support it. Then you need to go to Photoshop. And here enters the expertise that sometimes, I don't know, sometimes you will have it in-house, sometimes you'll have it with your agency. When I'm going to a show, I won't be creating the walls for my stand builder with Midjourney. I wouldn't, because from my perspective as a startup, these expertise requires higher level of expertise. But if I need now an image for my social media, definitely this is something we will be creating. And as I said, that's a huge chunk of my budget. And the ability also for AI today is to look strategically. So you can create with AI a series of images that will create a story in the end. So you can create, for example, now, decide you want to tell a story in 5 posts, and AI can help you tell that story in 5 posts with the right images and with the right text. And it's already created for you, looking at 5 posts and not just one out of the entire plan.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so you were lucky in the sense that you had me in the department. Me being business development, so I was between sales and marketing. And I'll give my opinion soon about what I think about sales and marketing, because there's a massive overlap there. My argument has always been, and it's something that you and I go back and forth on, is You had a person like myself in house who came from a background of creative arts, animation, graphic design, all that. So my skill in Photoshop, my skill in 3D, my skill helped create some of that, especially in the early stages. Later on, less. I was more busy. I still think, especially today, that now you have these AI tools, somebody in house has to be a creative. So in marketing, you always have a creative, but that creative now has to be AI based. You can get to quite a high level with even the current tools. So Midjourney is giving good quality imagery. Dali's getting better, has some issues with it sometimes I find, but it doesn't matter. It's just you've got all these tools. When you combine them with a Photoshop suite, for example, you can reach a point where you're presenting or providing the agency with material for them to work on. The agencies, in my opinion, now have to become, well, they're always service providers, but their creative input is in the final stages, not in the beginning to middle stages. So their copywriting, I hope you would agree with me, is finishing,
Yes,
because
definitely.
internal copywriting has become so much easier with a chat bot, a chat GPT. One question I would have is how much is that budget change? What are you gaining in terms of dollar value because you now have in-house tools that you can utilize with an existing individual in your department. So you're not paying an extra salary.
So dollar saving with the agency for my budget, it would be, depends, again, if I had any special projects, but that could be between $5,000 to $8,000 a month saving. And for my budget, that was a lot of money. And by the way, I wouldn't be saving it. I would be just utilizing the money to other tools or other usages within the marketing. That means that I could have done so much more from my perspective. And by the way, let's not forget, it costs you money to train that person that you will now have in-house. You need to make sure that person is all the time learning the new tools and learning the new possibilities, is already up to date. All these tools cost money in the end, if you want to use the best possibilities within these tools, so it costs money. There's a lot of savings. Don't get me wrong comparing to the agency, but still there are a lot of costs that we need to consider. Another thing that we need to consider when we are talking about using AI is, you could say, the ethical consideration. The whole idea around the rights, creator rights around all these assets, whether you're creating content, whether you're creating, whether you're creating text, whether you're creating images, you need to be very careful with that today. So I think corporates are the ones that need to be the most careful. And I'm sure that they have the right lawyers to check that. There's a huge gap between Europe and the Americas about handling these topics. There is really a lot of uncertainty. From that perspective, you can kind of say, okay, I can do whatever I want, but that also means that you can be more exposed, maybe legally.
Yeah.
And we haven't even talked about video, because we know that today we're all waiting for Sora and Lightrick Studio and all these, much anticipated solutions for video. There are still solutions that are working in the meantime. All of them, as much as I know, are trained with no rights. So you need to be very careful using the current tools for videos, because you might be using someone's material that you don't have the right to use. From my perspective, one of the biggest and one of the most expensive items in my budget was the product video. And product video meant that I would take the 3D that I've worked with you, and we paid a lot of money for a designer when you couldn't support it anymore because you were busy selling. We paid a lot of money for a 3D designer to take the solid and create the 3D design out of it. We were always kind of, it's also not the best that we wanted to do. And I'm not sure that with a new product, you take it and you upload it into AI so easily and you ask that to create, the modeling, even though that there is a solution.
Yeah,
You need to be very careful with your propriety. You need to be very careful with your patents, with new products. AI is kind of very exposed. So yeah, there's a lot of excitement, and we really, really want to use all these tools, but we need to really think about when we use them and for what. Embracing these tools, it's definitely happening. Don't get me wrong. Big companies like corporates, it will take them longer. But I think this is the time for small companies and startups to embrace these tools and incorporate them. I think that today a company that is not using any AI is a company that I don't see its success.
Mm.
Doesn't matter which company, doesn't matter which department.
Yeah.
AI is supposed to be part of your day-to-day already.
Yeah.
Whether it's meeting summaries, whether it's efficiency at work, whether it's marketing, which is really the kind of the easiest place to do that. I see that there are already tools relevant for HR. There are already tools relevant for finance. And it's definitely something that we need to learn and utilize.
Yeah. So the challenge, I agree with you, the challenge of rights. I just saw it with my simple YouTube channel. Music is something that I would recommend that businesses be very careful of the most, more so than the imagery based. Because music, you get music, and most of us don't know how to edit music. We're not musicians, right? It's a skill it's the ultimate art form, in my opinion. So you're getting something and you're just putting it in an edit somewhere and using it as is. So that creates an issue with copywriting because you don't own that, basically. With imagery, what you need to do if you're using imagery that's coming from artificial intelligence is not to just use it as is. If you're getting that image and you are then editing it, adding to it, altering it, the more you do so, that at some point it actually becomes yours because you've prompted it, you've received it, you've then manipulated it further to get your image for a billboard or for your exhibition stand. I think you're safer. The videos will take time. I think video is not there yet, but it will be, because what's going to happen over time is that you're going to start seeing, like NVIDIA's got this file format that basically will have a lot of metadata within that imagery, which will include depth maps. It'll include a lot of things around that the video will end up becoming 3D. So in time, a marketing department will not necessarily need a company, a studio to do the 3D graphics for them. But that's an issue.
I can tell you the video used to cost, approximate costs would be, whether you're shooting or 3D, was around $15,000.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I've saved the entire $15,000, but that usually included the script. It included, if we had to shoot, if you remember, we were shooting the machine in some point. So you had to have an actor next to it explaining. So you paid for the actor, and you paid for the hair and makeup, you paid for the lights, you paid for the space. Or if you're using the 3D, so the 3D was obviously a bit cheaper because you didn't have to pay to film it. I think these costs will be reduced, into third. I'm not saying that I won't need a professional like you that knows about the lights and the filming. Of course, I can ask for that things. So yes, I will need a creative person in my team, but if I expect that creative person to be able to learn LLMs and learn also the text to image and also to learn the video in that level of expertise, I don't think that this is the right thing to do. I think that still, as you said, in a lot of the things, I would go outsource. People will be experts in Midjourney. People will be experts in Sora. People will be expert in all of these tools. I will be able to as you said, give them the creative. I will create the script. I will create what I want to present. I will give them even the modeling that I will create of the product. In the end, I want someone to be able to polish it and fine tune it and create that amazing video that we're aiming to have. And I think this is where the special expertise will come in with the special, whether it's freelancers or whether it's with agencies, because all the basics I already know how to do it today. I don't need them as much as I needed them before. And this is a huge chunk of my budget that allows me to do a lot of other stuff. By the way, that will allow me to hire a person that is, in the next level of expertise.
So what does your department look like now? Is there a difference? Go back in time 5 years ago, whatever, you're given a decent budget and say, okay, build me a marketing department. Compared to now, what is the difference? Is there a difference? Who the people are, what their skill sets? How are you hiring?
So if you remember, we had a person in our team that was handling the lead generation and making sure that the leads goes from our marketing system, which we were using HubSpot, and making sure they go into Salesforce, because we chose to use these two different systems. And then from Salesforce, we had the inside salesperson that was handling them and managing the data. We had another person that was in charge of implementing Salesforce and creating the dashboards for us and the reports and the analytics and helping us cleaning up the data. All that would become now one person, to my opinion. So we have here 3 persons that become one person that is looking at the funnel from one end to another and managing all the analytics involving that and managing everything that is needed here, because the AI is just making your life much easier. One of the challenges was we have the right people in our database. And remember, we were a small company and we were also a company that our sales cycle was quite long, meaning that we didn't have like tens of thousands of leads in our system. We had thousands of leads in our system, meaning that we had to make sure that each one of these leads that cost us a lot of money to get into the system are optimized. And I believe that today you can do it much easier than just downloading Excels and sorting them and, working on Excels for days sometimes, right? And AI is now doing that for you. Just again, exploring that fine line between marketing and sales and understanding where that sits and how that is being managed. The leads are coming through marketing. In some point, obviously, marketing needs to transfer that into sales. The fine line of that is that, do we already in the lead point, in the MQL, in the SQL, what's going on where marketing is still supporting. Remember, in my team, we had an industry expert that she was a designer. And she brought a lot of input and she worked with strategic accounts along with sales. She was part of marketing, but she was working with sales supporting. So she was working on 2 systems. She was working on HubSpot and she was working on Salesforce. And today that would make her life much easier if we were using AIs and all the automations that are available.
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump into this idea of sales and marketing. For me, I don't think I've ever said this to you, but because I'm not a pure sales or marketing person, I haven't worked at a big corporate company, so I'm not someone who's easily placed in a box. I'm kind of entrepreneurial. So for me, I always couldn't distinguish between marketing and sales. Meaning, for me, marketing is sales and sales is marketing. It drives me nuts when they're separate and talking different languages. If I was a CEO or CFO of a company, I would definitely require my VP sales and VP marketing, if that's the level that I've got, to be totally in sync, especially with the use of AI tools in there. They have to together be working hand in hand with that capability and building in-house tools. That would be
I totally agree. Marketing and sales should be working together. A lot of companies, by the way, choose to put one under another, usually marketing under sales, and sometimes sales and marketing are under, that VP growth, or, there are all kinds of different titles. In the end, the goal is the same goal, doesn't matter what's the title. You need to make sure that you're working together for the same goal. We know how it is. In some companies, it works well. Some companies, it's not working that well.
Yeah.
But it's the company, and it's the atmosphere in the company, and it's the way it's managed, and it's not the tools. And it doesn't matter if you're using AI or not. If your sales and marketing are not working together, AI is not going to solve that.
Yeah.
So it's much more of a cultural thing within the company. And I totally agree. I think that AI will help make that more coherent and, more of a unique message. Because once you incorporate a lot of the automations, so you have today, I don't know if you've seen it, this amazing company, it's called DID, and there are more companies that they've created these virtual agents.
Yeah.
And these agents answer your questions. So the question now is, what happens with also with sales? So a lot of the sales, the entry point sales points you have today, especially for B2C, are kind of eliminated.
Yeah.
Because if you have a virtual agent, then, you need to take only the next level of sale, or you need someone to work the sale in the background. You don't necessarily need a person to do that or to answer the customer questions. Same for customer support. There are a lot of services that are giving customer support. So from my perspective, when you're looking at the customer or the prospect's path within the company, so it starts with marketing, it continues with sales, but it doesn't end there. It continues with customer support. The journey that you're looking at needs to be coherent and the same along the path, but continues also to customer support. From that perspective, you need to make sure that your tools and your messaging and all that is also working towards customer success when you're looking at these tools and you're looking at how to manage your customers' path the best way.
Yeah. One of the things that we had constant issues, but I'm assuming a lot of companies go through this, a lot of time spent on correcting messaging or maintaining consistency of messaging across the sales team, across the marketing team. That's why I mean that marketing is sales, sales is marketing, is that, I would get a lot of questions. Remind me what the capacity of this is. Remind me what substrate we're working. Remind me, first of all, the creation of PowerPoint presentation or any presentations took so much time from us because we were constantly updating. And that's something that, if I look back at pain points, I want something that just takes care of that and I'm directing it. I'm just saying, yeah, that image, that kind of format, issue that presentation format that I want. Because we talk to the big global brands. So if I'm talking to Nike, there's a certain language I want to talk to them with, and it's their language. When I talk to a factory in Turkey that's making socks, it's a different conversation, but the information has to be consistent and my brand messaging has to be the same. And we found that it was all going all over the place sometimes because you've got individuals with their own personalities affecting that messaging. So that's something I think I would love to have seen happen. So my question is, who are your key people now? What are their skill sets? Has it changed at all? You've mentioned one, someone that is now in charge of the funnel, in charge of the data, keeping that data clean, being able to present that data with AI to provide data to the CEO all the way down, CEO down to the VP level, let's say. Who else? Who are the other key individuals that have changed their resumes because of AI?
So connecting to both topics you just mentioned, I would go for creative, definitely. Because if you remember, at any given point, we were working on company presentation, that company presentation that is supposed to be the master presentation that everybody knows by heart. Felt like we're constantly working on it. Constantly the messaging was changing. It doesn't happen in every company. For example, I can tell you with HP, with a corporate, you get that from the corporate, and there is no, you cannot move out of that. That's the presentation. That's the big difference between corporate and a startup, the big change. And yeah, the amount of time we spend creating these presentations, the whole approach comparing a customer to a strategic customer to an investor, a partner. If you remember, we were working also with creating partnerships with technology that was working alongside our technology, and we wanted to work with them and reach their target audience with them and talk about innovation together and talk about sustainability together. As you said, you speak differently to them because their goals are different and the targets are different when you're talking to these different audiences. Today, you have these amazing tools where you just put your prompt, you tell the solution what type of audience you're talking to, what type, you can put your brand in it, and it creates your presentation. You can create the coherent brand, you can give the guidelines of the brand, and that creative person will be in charge of making sure that we keep the brand, we're keeping the messaging within all the assets that we're creating, because that person will also be working on our social media, will be working all on our website, will be working on our campaigns, because that creative needs to come from one place. And with all these tools now, it's possible to have one person doing that. And again, if we've talked about one person for the creative, and we've talked about one person for the funnel, whether that's marketing or a middle marketing sales kind of thing, I don't know if we need that third person. And my team that I've worked with, I'm still friends with them. They know I really love them and we're still in touch. I wouldn't give up any of them. But with AI today, we might be utilizing one of the roles to do something else.
But do you see like the structure of the marketing departments, like even if you look back in the old days of HP, essentially being similar, or is there any shift?
Because there must be a shift.
Because I mean, like how much time do they spend, or how big is a department that's dealing with digital marketing, for example, controlling your social networks? Today you can already create bots that you give them tasks. For example, you've got a newsletter on your website. Managing a website, in my opinion, becomes quite automated. So again, that creative can deal with the branding of it, making sure that the content is
think about, there's the management of the website, and then there is, the creative of the website. Because if you want to enter new markets and if you want to enter new topics, this is where, so the maintenance, once you have established the website and you created it, the maintenance of social media, the maintenance of website, the maintenance of newsletters, all these things are totally AI. Most of them are really automated. There are bots that can answer you also. So you remember also you had the access to the social media accounts, and we were always on the watch, making sure that we answer people, to make sure we maintain the interaction within the accounts.
We missed
you
don't
need to do that anymore.
We missed a lot.
And,
we dropped a lot of balls, to be honest. I mean, it's I remember suddenly seeing a question up, and I'm like, who's answered this? Then now we have to have a discussion internally who is supposed to answer. And that's something, of course, that you'd want to bot there. Just basically, at least the initial contact. If there's an answer to a question that a human needs to give, at least I'm getting it passed on to me by my bot.
It's a lot of work. Social media, website, newsletter, campaigns, all of things. It was time consuming. There was a lot of processes to do here, verify that and make sure that, and upload that and correct that, and all of these things are now automated.
So I mean, that obviously relieves a lot of stuff on your head,
and now you're free to think about the right strategy. You're available to think about the new markets, think about your growth in really less logistics, less into the nitty-gritty details. And it's saying that the details don't matter. Of course they do. But from that point, once you've defined them, they're running. They need all the time, to be looked out. I'm not saying, but instead of doing them, you're now available in your mind for, I think, the bigger things that can take the company to a whole new level.
Yeah, soon in the future, I'll also be talking to someone more in sales. I have a feeling we're going to be talking similar language. He's going to go into actual detail of how he's selling using AI because he's already doing it. I'm a big believer in in-house tools. Just take ChatGPT or OpenAI's capability of building your own GPTs and the fact that you could literally say, okay, here is the language. You've done the initial work in branding. Yeah, so you, Adi, as marketing director, you've defined with the CEO and CFO and all the rest, this is the language of the brand. This is our mission. This is how we talk. This is what our values are. You present that to the GPT. That GPT is not Chat GPT. It's a smaller GPT that utilizes the language that Chat GPT knows, but actually is taking your branding document and say, work towards this language, talk like this, answer like this. I think, for example, that's a tool that right now I would immediately expect a company to start employing, especially if it's outward in e-commerce and exhibitions.
First of all, I know that there is ChatGPT Enterprise that allows organizations to buy a subscription. That means that they're within closed environment, as we talked about. But you don't want your information to leak out because it's valuable data that you don't want to have running around on the web. So there are already solutions for corporates and companies. Within the ChatGPT, creating that language is super important because you, as we talked about it, you want the entire company to speak the same messaging, to speak the same language. Doesn't matter. We learned that even R&D people that are talking to potential customers, they should know that these are the numbers and these are the stories that they need to be able to tell, because you don't want your potential customer to be hearing different stuff all of a sudden. After hearing from marketing and after hearing from sales, all of a sudden, why that R&D person told me that your machine is less efficient, or the numbers were different, or stuff like that. And again, I'm talking from the point of view of machines, but it's the same, I'm assuming, for any product. Doesn't matter what the product is. So I think AI with the enterprise solution will allow these companies to maintain that same messaging running across within the company. By the way, I also saw, I haven't had a chance to explore it. Canva has already created also a new tool that allows you to create work kits. Sometimes you want to create a campaign, and the campaign is obviously within your brand and it's obviously within your language. But again, as we said, you're talking to a different audience, and you might want to play with the color a little bit. You might want to attract it a little bit. You want a little bit to fine tune your message because you're talking, as we said, to a different audience. And we were missing that option to be able to create the language of the campaign within our brand and to make sure that the presentation that we're talking to that strategic account is the same. And, kind of creating the small brand language within our brand, there was no solution for that. And if I understood correctly now from Canva, they've created that. And that's amazing from a marketing point of view, the ability to create your campaigns that are cohesive. Until now, you could create these assets as assets.
Yeah.
And now they call it a work kit, meaning that they're looking from a campaign point of view. Which is an amazing solution from my perspective.
So we're coming to the end of this conversation. We can go on for hours as usual, because there are so many things that we haven't talked about, little tools. The ex-CEO of Google, forgot his name, said something smart. I saw a video of his, interview of his, and he said, we want AI to make people smarter. I think that's ultimately where we should focus on. How does it make your team smarter? How does it make you smarter? You've already told us it releases you time so you can now talk about strategy, of how you just allow it to be your assistant. and create that ideation of ideas. How do you want your colors to look? How do you want your backgrounds to look? There are tools coming out where you can literally take photos with your phone, which are good cameras, but not great. But I can relight things. You might not need professional photographers to come in and take photos of your product. So, product photography already is going to be much more efficient, less expensive. And
Yeah,
we
I've seen
had,
already,
yeah,
like Canva has the option to create mockups. So you
yeah,
can create your logo or
yeah,
your design, and it goes, on different type of, currently, it's cups and stuff, like coffee cups and stuff like that. But being able to, if you remember, that was also a big part of my budget, because we were working within the textile industry, creating these samples and then taking pictures of that, these shirts or these pants, and focusing on the seams. These things are going to be so much easier
yeah.
now.
So, when you look at that landscape, what's your message to two types of people? Your fellow marketers, so your fellow marketing directors, managers, you've gone through the different levels, even new entries into marketing. What is your advice to them? And also, what is your advice to the CFO who talks to you about budget and your CEO?
So for fellow marketers, I hope that everybody are already embracing AI in any type of form of AI. I think that we're in a super challenging phase, because we need to be able to look at so many tools and understand which one of them are the right ones for us. Don't forget that we are also, working, and we have, you're trying already to create this life work balance. And then all of a sudden you need to learn this whole new technology, and you need to sort out all these tools and understand which one is right for you. I have to say, I've been going to meetups and lectures, and I've been signing up to these conventions about AI and creative tools, and it's really difficult to know exactly what is needed in your specific marketeer tool set, because there are so many of them. I see people asking, so which one is the best? ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Copilot, and in the end, you will hear all the answers, because different tools are matching different people. But as long as they're using AI, that's amazing, because AI should be part of your day-to-day life. And again, this is progressing all the time. So I've learned the LLMs, and I've learned a little bit the text to image, and I've been looking at different CRM tools that are available with the different AIs solutions that they're giving. And now I'm learning the GPTs, as you said. I just think that if you keep on learning, if you make sure to take the time in your day to decide that this week you're learning a new tool, a new solution, and then understanding if you want to go deeper with understanding and learning that tool, is that relevant for you, for your day-to-day work? From my experience, for the entry level, the universities or the colleges are behind with technology. They're
Right.
talking about it, they're not there. Don't trust that. if
Yeah.
if if you're a young person, you should have the initiative to be able to go out there, and there's so much information. And again, I even talk to my kids, and when they have a question, I tell them, why don't you ask ChatGPT? I also teach them, for especially for general information and facts, and these things, don't take it for granted, and I keep on asking questions. There's a lot of YouTube channels that can teach you about the different tools. As I think for the young people, it's an amazing world to enter. It might be very confusing also, and might be overwhelming. For us, the more senior marketeers, it's a bit more challenging to try and understand what we need to learn now in order to do our job now best. Because if you've talked about the CEOs, the smart CEOs will be already demanding and changing the KPIs. CEOs will be looking and saying, oh, but I see that AI helps my entire company now to do more in less time. So why not raise the bar? Why not increase the KPIs, change them? Let's go for growth. Let's let's understand new markets, let's understand new opportunities for the company, where we can take that now with that extra time and money. From marketeer point of view that is looking at your budget, and it doesn't matter if you're managing, your campaign, if you're a campaign manager, or if you're a department manager, or if you are a VP looking at the entire section that you're managing, you need to be looking at your saving and be ready for that question coming from your CFO or CEO, and tell them what you're doing with that, how you're utilizing for the best benefit of the company. And whether it's because you are exploring newer markets, because now you can conduct more market research, you have more time to look at the strategy and understand better how the company can approach more customers or new fields. This is something that I think that initiative should come from also from marketing. Marketing should be looking at these budget and extra time and understand what they can do to help the company grow.
I think we'll come to the end of our current chat. Just tell us where the viewers can come and find you. I'll share the links in the description, of course.
Sure. My LinkedIn, Adi Mandel, Facebook. I'm in the different forums in Israel for ChatGPT, for Midjourney, for general AI. I really like it. Maybe we can meet in some of the meetups or the conventions talking about AI. And by the way, I have to say, I'm really excited and learning new tools that are not necessary just for marketing, because I think it opens your mind. And sometimes you think of a tool that is not necessarily, marked as marketing tool, and you think that I can utilize that also for my day-to-day work. I don't think that I know everything. I think that, we're all learning. This is a new field, and it's amazing to hear from other people and from their experience and the tool that they had the chance to explore. I just heard today a podcast. A person said that actually it was Benny Falbel, of the manager of the community of ChatGPT Israel, and he said that it's not a revolution that is just going to change the role of a marketeer or redundant the work of a copywriter. It's a revolution that is going to touch all of our lives in all of our aspects. Mm-hmm. And we should treat that as such, that we need to understand that when I'm talking to my kids about how they're going to utilize ChatGPT in their lives, I'm also talking to my parents, which they are almost in their 70s. But again, the lifespan is expanding. And as much as, people learned how to use their phone to go on the bus and pay on the bus because they're not taking any more real money on the bus anyway in Israel, this is something that we will have to embrace. And that will happen, as you said, in the next 2-3 years. And it's going to impact all of our lives, whether it will impact our shopping, it will impact our transportation usage, it will impact the way we communicate. And it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Cool. So on that positive note, thanks for...
I hope.
Thanks for the conversation. And we'll talk soon.
Yes, thank you.
So thanks, Adi, for that interesting conversation. Be sure to like the video or subscribe if you want to hear more of these conversations and keep up to date. And if you're a marketer, be sure to comment, and I'd love to hear what you have to say, what tools you're using. Thanks for listening in, and see you next time.